On a bright but chilly morning, as the city awakened with its usual rush, a single father named Evan Calder pushed his old stroller down the sidewalk with a paper bag of sandwiches balanced on top. Life had not been kind to him lately. His job at the repair shop barely paid enough, the rent kept rising, and his little daughter Hazel needed more than he could ever seem to provide. But despite everything, he never stopped sharing the little he had. That morning, as he crossed the park, he saw the same homeless old man sitting on a weathered bench beneath the pale daylight, wrapped in a torn gray coat that fluttered in the cold wind. The old man had tired, pale eyes used to being ignored. Evan walked toward him without hesitation, compelled by something he couldn't explain, as though kindness was the only wealth he had left. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and humanity still alive in this world, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Grandma's book. It helps more stories like this reach others. Evan placed the warm sandwich into the man's trembling hands and waited for a nod of gratitude before hurrying off to catch the bus to work. To him, the act was nothing extraordinary. It was just something he did every morning after packing Hazel's lunch and ensuring she had clean clothes for school. The burden of single parenting pressed on him, but being kind was the one thing he never allowed struggle to steal from him. What he didn't know, what he couldn't have imagined, was that the man he helped each day was not a forgotten wanderer, but Marcellus Hartwell, a retired millionaire who had vanished from public life due to grief and family betrayal. He had chosen to test humanity, to disappear from the world of money and comfort to see whether there was still goodness left. Each day at sunrise, Evan repeated the same routine. Drop Hazel at school, grab a cheap sandwich from the deli, and share half with the old man at the park. People often mocked him for helping someone who probably didn't deserve it, but Evan never cared. He understood hunger. He understood cold. And he understood how it felt to have no one. His wife had passed away 2 years earlier, leaving him shattered and confused, carrying a newborn in his arms while drowning in bills and loneliness. The world didn't pause for his grief. He learned to survive by giving even when he had nothing. Marcellus observed this silently, watching Evan every morning, studying the gentle humility in his eyes and wondering how someone who struggled so deeply still found strength to care for another stranger. The turning point came one Thursday afternoon when Evan's world collapsed a little further. His boss informed him that the shop was shutting down permanently. No compensation. No backup plan. Just one last paycheck and a hollow wish for good luck. Evan walked out into the daylight feeling smaller than ever, gripping his daughter's hand as they trudged home. That night he counted every coin from a jar hidden in the kitchen cabinet. It wasn't enough for rent. It wasn't enough for groceries. The next morning, he still bought a sandwich. He still went to the park. The old man noticed the redness in Evan's eyes, the heaviness in his movements, and the way he stared at the ground for too long before handing over the food. Marcellus felt something break inside him. He had tested countless people in his months living anonymously on the streets, but none had ever shown him pure, unconditional kindness like Evan did, and certainly never while dealing with their own battles. That same afternoon, as Evan picked Hazel up from school, he found an unfamiliar black car parked outside. A man in a suit approached him politely and handed him a sealed envelope. Evan's heart raced, fearing something terrible, but inside was only a short note that read, "Meet me tomorrow morning by the park bench. There is something you must know." He barely slept that night, anxiety consuming him. The next day, under the soft daylight warming the park's greenery, he approached the bench. But instead of a homeless man in ragged clothes, a well-groomed elderly gentleman stood waiting. For a moment, Evan didn't recognize him, not until he saw those same tired eyes, only now filled with warmth. Marcellus explained everything. His grief, his wealth, his long search for genuine kindness, and how Evan's daily acts of compassion had restored his faith. Then he handed Evan a folder containing documents that didn't feel real, proof of a fully paid home, a job offer in Marcellus's company with a salary he had never imagined earning, and a trust account created for Hazel's future. Evan almost collapsed from shock. The weight of years of struggle pressed against his chest until tears finally broke free. Marcellus placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, reminding him that kindness never goes unnoticed, even when the world seems blind. Life transformed from that day onward. Evan and Hazel moved into their new home, a modest but warm place with sunlight that poured through gentle curtains. Evan started his job within weeks, earning enough to repay debts and rebuild a life he thought he had lost forever. Marcellus became a permanent part of their lives, not as a beneficiary of compassion anymore, but as family. The park bench remained their meeting place, but now they sat together not out of need, but out of gratitude and connection under the soft brightness of the day.